Federal government recommits to expanding export of locally produced goods and services. Financial stocks lift market as Nigeria's stock exchange records gains over the week. Saudi Arabia's supply cuts eases anxiety over oil prices slightly. This is Business Express reaching you from our Abuja studios with me, Musa Abubakar. It's harvest time across Nigeria, and Business Express in this edition takes a trip around the country to feel the pulse from the farms to markets. But that will be after this time out. President Muhammadu Buhari says for the fight against corruption and illicit financial flows to be won, the international community must unite and take collective action to crack down on safe havens for corrupt assets. He stated this position while addressing world leaders at the Paris Peace Forum in the French capital. The president was emphatic that because of the enormous unlawful profits corruption generates, the threat of jail term is not sufficient to deter perpetrators. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
The Paris Peace Forum, being attended by over 60 heads of state and government, is put together by the French government to bolster multilateralism and collective action in tackling global challenges as international tensions continue to rise.
The world in which we live has been made fragile by crises that destabilize our society. We have all been invited to contribute a book to the Library of Peace. Multilateralism isn't only a hope, but more than ever a necessity.
In his address entitled Illicit Financial Flows and Corruption, the Challenges of Global Governance, President Muhammadu Buhari said the cancerous effect of what he called this crime of opportunity on socio-economic development of countries are glaringly evident. He said apart from escalating poverty by denying the citizens the benefits of the resources meant for development, such outflows also undermine the rule of law, stifle trade, and worsen macroeconomic conditions. Combating corruption has been the defining feature of the Buhari administration since coming to power, demonstrating zero tolerance for corrupt practices and non-conformity conducts in public life. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema was at the forum.
He's talked about, the various agencies that he has created and that he's empowering, which are being trained to, to address these. And there are also measures that are being taken to block the loopholes and also to make the financial system of government more transparent. He challenged essentially the global community to work together to address the issue of bad governance and also bad governance that leads to illicit financial flows.
Using Nigeria's experience, President Buhari told participants that because of the lucrative nature of fraudulent activities, the threat of jail terms no longer deter perpetrators.
The point he was making is that what was even more important than punitive measures is restitution for those funds, and their huge resources, should be restituted to the countries, repatriated to the countries, because the developing countries need those funds and those resources for development. And once they are not able to access those funds and to provide development, then we have the crisis that we have in a lot of countries. You know, the irregular migrations and all the conflicts, a lot of the conflicts and instability we have in all these in our countries. Essentially what he's saying is that a lot of it is due to the economic challenges created by poor governance and illicit financial flows.
President Buhari is also advocating sanctions by professional bodies against those he called transactional middlemen who facilitate illicit financial flows. And on the centenary celebrations of the armistice marking the end of the First World War, President Muhammadu Buhari said although Nigeria was not independent at that time, the fact still remains it had participated actively in the war efforts through the Royal West African Frontier Forces. He therefore paid tribute to the sacrifices and bravery of all those who had fallen in the battle, as well as the pain and suffering of those left behind. From Paris, France, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma, says the federal government is committed to expanding export of locally produced goods and services. Senator Udoma, who was delivering the keynote address at the 42nd Annual Conference Dinner of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria in Lagos, said steps are being taken to reduce the current dependence on crude oil for most of the nation's foreign exchange receipts. He said the ERGP was launched with the objective of leading Nigeria out of recession and thereafter placing the economy on the path of growth that is diversified, inclusive, and most importantly, sustainable and resilient. He said a national committee on export promotion has started implementing the Zero Oil Plan as set out in the ERGP, which is working in close collaboration with the state governments to promote the establishment of domestic export warehouse and aggregation centers in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Worthy of note is the reactivation of the Export Expansion Grant Scheme and the Export Development Fund Scheme, with the sum of 13.28 billion provided in 2018 budget. Performance of crops in the planting season in Ogun State witnessed dwindling output owing to the forces of demand and supply in the global market. Experts say the challenges can be better managed by interested parties for better yields. Tope has more.
Peaceful, sleepy, hilly ancient town of Idonre is a community of mostly farmers lying 20 kilometers from Akure, the Ondo State capital. The famous youths of Idonre harbor some of the most productive cocoa plantations in the whole of southwest Nigeria, and Idonre town has some of the relics of the year where cocoa was near gold in value. The Idonre landscape is today dotted with buildings which may not worth much in terms of architectural value in today's world, but were not only built from the proceeds of cocoa by cocoa merchants, many of them long gone. It is indeed on record that men and women have made fortunes either as cocoa farmers, produce buyers, or marketers. The fortunes of cocoa farmers have since fallen. Why not? A typical cocoa tree in Idonre is old, low-yielding, and pest-infested. Aderemi Ogundipe belongs to the old and new generations of cocoa farmers. He says the business has seen better days.
Many people want to go to farm and do the work again because they are looking for another business that will be fast more than cocoa.
Presently, if you go into the farm, you will see some insects eating our cocoa. The government will help us to look for medicine to curb this insects. Secondly, the price is not stable.
There is no enough of chemicals that they can use to be attacking all those diseases.
There is, however, a ray of hope with the recently launch of Cocoa Revolution by the Ondo State government, where high-yielding varieties cocoa seeds were distributed to farmers across the state, and also deliberate efforts to attract youths to the business were made.
A lot still needs to be done. The encouragement needs to be given. Then a lot of things needs to be subsidized in order to encourage people to go into agriculture, because there are a lot of factors that are not really encouraging people. When you talk about the issue of climate change, is a real challenge.
This is Itaolorun, a village few kilometers away from Idori town. About 40% of cocoa seedlings produced across this axis come from this village. It is expected that with the current efforts, the yields of cocoa from Itaolorun and indeed the entire Ondo state will increase.
Okay. Grains have flooded markets across Zamfara state, thereby drastically reducing prices. Jamilu Ibrahim reports that farmers there are recording bumper harvest and smiling to the banks.
Harvesting of farm produce for the 2018 rainy season farming in Zamfara state has commenced in earnest for the first 3 months. Crops so far harvested include maize, millet, soybeans and groundnuts, and have already flooded markets in the state. Consequently, the prices of the grains have come down drastically, and the grains merchants from within and outside the state are making bulk purchases. Secretary General Grains Merchants Association Guso Local Government Branch Alhaji Rabi Usman speaks on the development. As you can see, the market is now the hive of activities, with buyers and sellers coming in and going out. Almost all the farm produce, with the exception of guinea corn, have already flooded the market. A 100 kilogram of maize sold at 12,000 naira is now sold at 9,000 naira. Beans sold at 27,000 naira is now 20,000 naira, while soybeans, formerly sold at 18,000 naira, now comes down at 12,000 naira only. Others are rice and millet, which formerly sold at 9,000 naira and 11,000 naira, but now their prices have slightly come down to 8,000 and 9,000 naira. The bumper harvest this year is actually unprecedented in recent years, and the yields are fantastic, and this cut across all the crops we cultivated. We thank God for the high yields of food and cash crops this year. A farmer from a local government area of the state who said he has so far harvested more than 700 bags of soybeans from his farm this year attributed the development to adequate rainfall experienced during the cropping season and the relative availability of fertilizers and other farming inputs. Government really assisted us with fertilizers, which have impacted positively on the yields. The farmers, however, decried the low prices of some of the farm produce, especially maize and soybeans, and appealed for government's intervention in that regard. Our appeal to the government is to come to our aid, as prices of the farm produce, especially soybeans, are too low. The merchants are taking undue advantage of this to our detriment. It's quite probable that prices of the grains will continue to go down within the next couple of weeks, considering the bumper harvest recorded this year, and farmers are still transporting their farm produce to the markets.
Thank you, Jamilu Ibrahim. Reports coming in from Akwa Ibom State indicates that there is a significant drop in the price of food items as harvest begins. Ifeoma Ikoje, who spoke with some farmers and buyers, reports that a number of factors contributed to this positive outcome, and the increase has ensured the availability of food items and markets across the state.
Till the discovery of crude oil in commercial quantity in some parts of the country, agriculture remained the mainstay of Nigeria's economy. However, following the drop in the value of oil and its attendant effect on the nation's economy, the government of the day came up with a back-to-farm policy. In Akwa Ibom State, crops like cassava, plantain, banana, yam, rice, tomatoes, and a wide range of fruits and vegetables are grown to ensure food sufficiency.
Okra, rice, we produce cassava, we produce palm fruits. You can see me with the palm products.
We are blessed with vegetables and other farm produce.
To say the yield of the 2018 planting season in the state is bountiful is stating the obvious, as the farmers daily flood the market with healthy farm produce, which has in turn reflected positively on the prices of food items in the local market. Gari, a popular staple made from cassava, which sold at 3 cups for 200 naira, now goes for 11 to 12 cups at the same amount, while a sizable bunch of plantain that rose to about 3,000 naira can now be purchased at 1,200 to 1,500 naira, as the case may be.
The price is okay, especially the plantain. Everywhere is gari. It's not like last year we suffer over it.
However, for better yield in the succeeding years, the farmers and dealers on farm produce solicit for government intervention in the provision of improved seedlings, fertilizers and grants.
A soft loan from the government that will help us to continue to have good production.
We need machines.
Dr. Etemefyong is an agricultural economist in the University of Uyo and suggests active involvement of the youth in agriculture, enabling environment and reintroduction of market board structure as springboards for agricultural boom and food sufficiency.
Most of agricultural products are perishable. They are bulky in nature. They are difficult to move. So if we can raise that marketing board structure to pick these items from them, pay them off, and the government has a market for it, and they will market it until they export it. Definitely it's a good incentive for the government.
The back to farm policy of the present administration is yielding positive results, as evident in the quality and quantity of harvest in Akwa Ibom State.
Of course, farming can be taken to a level where farmers will gain firm confidence in financial stability if relevant sectors play their roles effectively. This can only guarantee improvement and sustainability of this amazing yield.
Still talking food security, in Kano, Mohammed Rabiu Ali has been visiting grains markets to find out how prices are faring after the cropping season. This report is focused on the availability of commodities in the market, impact on farmers and prices pattern of farm produce.
The time is now, and farmers are busy harvesting their farm produce. The performance of crops in 2018 cropping season is magnificent. This can be attributed to early distribution of inputs and implements by the federal, state and donor agencies. Climate has been very friendly to farmers despite flood that washed away some farmlands in the state. 55-year-old Dambaba Menama in Gezawa local government area of Kano State is one among hundreds of farmers that have bumper harvest this year.
Wannan shekara da Allah ya kamu mun samu ruwan sama wadatacce, mun samu taki ingantacce, mun samu iri mai kyau.
We thank God for this year's cropping season. We received fertilizer on time, implements, and the rain was a blessing for us.
Alhamdulillah, komai yayi mana kyau.
Everything is okay. God has blessed us with bumper harvest.
Most of the farm produce like rice, millet, beans are now available in markets. The commodities are cheaper than what is obtainable in the past. For instance, a bag of rice which is sold at 32,000 naira is now 28,000 naira. Beans is now available at the rate of 20,000 naira, but before is sold at 28,000 naira. While millet stood at 12,000 naira before harvest, now is 9,500 naira.
Abin da yake a baya ya kai wajen 1,500 mana shi wannan din. To kaga an dai samu sauki a ciki.
Before the prices were high, but now since the crops are coming to the market, they subsidized.
Ko muna sa rai farashi zai zo daidai da yadda talaka zai saya ba tare da ya damu ba.
With all indications, prices of commodities will be cheap as we have a bumper harvest.
Chairman, All Farmers Association of Nigeria, Kano chapter, Faruk Rabi Mudi says, Nigerians have answered the clarion call of President Muhammadu Buhari and have started witnessing the results.
That call that federal government has made make the farmers all to understand that yes, this government is assuring that the farmers, their commodities is going to be valuable.
For the likes of Mbaba and hundreds of others say, no doubt, if this tempo can be sustained, prices of commodities will drop drastically.
On that note, we take a look at commodity prices in the global market. From the green fields of agriculture, we move to the muddy fields of oil, where prices rose by about 1% on Monday after top exporter Saudi Arabia announced a cut in supply for December. Saudi Arabia's Minister of Energy, Industry and Mineral Resources, Khalid Al-Falih, said the nation plans to reduce oil supply to world markets by 0.5 million barrels per day in December. The country faces uncertain prospects in its attempt to persuade other producers to agree to a coordinated output cut. Khalid Al-Falih told reporters that Saudi Aramco's customer crude oil nominations will fall by 500,000 barrels per day in December versus November due to seasonal lower demand. The financial services sector led gains on the Nigerian stock market in the week ended Friday, the 9th of November. A rundown of how the market performed in the just concluded week is hereby presented by Bosede Abel.
Positive investor sentiment returned to the market last week. At the close of trading on Friday, 9th November 2018, investors gained 28 billion naira, with the market capitalization closing at 11.7 trillion naira, representing 0.23% increase. The all-share index ASI rose by the same margin to settle at 32,200.21 basis points. A turnover of 1.07 billion shares worth 18.1 billion naira in 14,372 deals were recorded by investors on the floor of the exchange. All other indices finished higher, with the exception of the NSE Banking, NSE Insurance, NSE Industrial Goods and NSE Pension indices that finished lower by 0.47%, 1.90%, 3.81% and 0.31%. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 909.8 million shares valued at 12.7 billion naira traded in 7,822 deals. Following the financial sector was the consumer goods industry with 52.6 million units valued at 3.3 billion naira in 2,876 deals. The oil and gas industry ranked third with a turnover of 36.3 million shares worth 674.2 million naira in 1,324 deals. Trading in the top three equities were Zenith Bank PLC, Access Bank PLC and FBN Holdings PLC, accounted for 557.3 million shares worth 9.4 billion naira in 3,231 deals. Also traded 4,065 units of exchange-traded products, ETPs, valued at 17,357.55, executed in one deal. 27 equities appreciated in price during the week, 39 equities depreciated in price, while 10 equities remained unchanged.
And now the NSE All-Share Index for today, Monday, 12th November, closed on a negative note. It depreciated 0.18% to close 32,143.41 basis points, while market capitalization dropped to 11.7 trillion naira. Now, remember to send us your feedback via email, businessexpress@nta.gov.nj. You can also reach us through our Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag BizExp showing there on your screen. Until we come your way again, I am Musa Abubakar. Do have a productive week.